Okay, I was listening to a podcast. Hello, by the way. Welcome to the bet. I was listening to a podcast earlier this week, and a guest on there was talking about basically the same stuff I talk about: subconscious, the nervous system, and human design. And she has apparently built two seven-figure businesses and is now running something in the eight-figure range. So, of course, I'm listening. I'm curious. I'm like, what does this person know that I don't know? What are they doing that I'm not doing? It was my whole reason for pressing play, if I'm being honest with myself here. She has this framework she calls a wealth container with like 5 levels to it. I don't remember all of them, but the core of what she was saying is that we all somehow block our access to wealth by creating resistance, by pushing ourselves to do things we don't actually want to do. And she said one of the best things she ever learned was that if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no, because there's no such thing as a hell maybe. That's exactly what she said, especially if you're a generator or a manifesting generator. And I get that. I get that. I actually agree with the hell yes, hell no thing on a response level. That is how sacral authority works. But then the rest of it was this thesis about how she's unlocked a flow state in her life where she just gets to receive on autopilot now. And it's never been easier. It's never been more abundant. There was one line in there about how there are seasons where you have to push, but that is as far as she went in terms of like effort and calling out any kind of work that she has to do. One line in the whole podcast. The overall premise to her whole narrative in this hour-long episode was that she opened herself up to receiving. And that was what changed everything. That became her reality. I slept on it and I woke up this morning with some real thoughts about this. So I'm capturing it right now because here is what I think that narrative is doing to people. I do agree with part of it. Okay. So it's not like I'm just shooting this whole thing in the foot. I agree that you should only pursue the things that light you up. But the distinction I make is that the goal itself should light you up. The outcome that you're building and wanting to create, that should light you up. But the daily work of building it, honestly, I think that's irrelevant. The daily work and the daily tasks, that's what I'm learning, very often do not light me up. If I only did what lit me up, I would be creating a ton of shit, but not actually putting it out there in the world. Okay. And I don't think anybody talks about this distinction at all because the two concepts are very different things. Anytime you set your sights on something that you don't currently have, it's not part of your world right now, you're going to have to build a different literal neurology in your brain to support it. I'm not talking metaphorically here. I mean, literally, your brain has to construct new pathways to hold a version of reality it has never held before. And that is not an easy process. That process does not light you the fuck up. Okay, it's just effortful. You have to suffocate the old beliefs sitting underneath the old thing. And you have to deliberately, daily install new ones every day. That is the actual work of it. And alongside that, you've got to do physical action. As much as I would like to say I could just focus on cleaning my energy up and making sure my intention is clear, all very important things, but if I don't actually take action, it's not going to materialize out of vapor. Okay. So sometimes taking the action is clearing space out of the way by getting rid of the old stuff you're doing or shutting things down or ending commitments that aren't right for you anymore. Or it could be actively moving towards building the new thing. right? Maybe people call this aligned action sometimes. And the aligned action part is very often the shitty, shitty part. Okay. Yes, sometimes I feel so inspired that it feels like I'm in a flow state and everything's just streaming out of me and my world feels magical and golden and glittery and perfect. Flow states are very real, but there's also something called a clutch state. And science shows us it is just as real and just as valid and just as useful. And I think we are actively starving ourselves of living in that state. The clutch state is the do or die moment, the moment where you have to decide whether you're going to operate in your new way, regardless of how it feels, whether you're willing to let yourself be uncomfortable, because anything new is awkward AF just by default. Okay, think about a toddler learning to walk. They're bobbling and wobbling and falling on their butts 98% of the time when they start. Okay, they take maybe a step or two before they wobble and fall. And it's months before they're walking smoothly. And it's a year or two before they stop bumping into things all the time because they don't have a good sense of where they are in space yet. They're just learning this skill. And then running is a whole other process on top of that. Okay, so if you're using the awkward, uncomfortable, destabilizing feeling as some kind of proof that this goal must not be for you, it doesn't light me up, or that you're out of alignment with it, or that you should just release it and let the universe take care of it for you, you're going to stay exactly where you are. And this is why I always come back to, if it actually worked that way, none of us would be in the positions we're in. And nobody talks like this. When I look around, everybody's building their 7-figure businesses, living in the fucking flow. Okay, but if that were true, we'd be looking at a completely different world right now, because that really pings my BS meter. I want to say this carefully because I do not want to purposely talk bad about anybody. I actually celebrate everyone who's out there building their success, however it happens. Okay, you go, you build your success, you show us all what's possible. But I don't like the way that money gets used as evidence. Somehow, when we're talking 7 figures and 8 figures, presented as some kind of proof that this person has it all figured out. And the number of people I see on Instagram or hear on podcasts with these wildly successful businesses, fully aligned, helping all kinds of humans, making big impact, supposedly built entirely on alignment, is starting to feel really engineered to me. Okay, is that me being cynical? Maybe, probably, it actually feels like a cynical thing to think. But this is my documentary, and it would feel disingenuous to pretend otherwise. But we're living in such a fucking engineered world right now, I cannot help but question that. I don't really like this cynical part of myself. I want to say that too. I don't like the way it feels to be suspicious of people. But I also can't unsee what I'm seeing. Okay, so now I have to say the harder part, because this is where I actually am. It's not like a clean, tidy little wrap up to all of this. I'm living inside this exact paradox right now. I feel like I am being the band leader out in the world for being receptive, living in flow, opening the portals of abundance. I love that. Nothing makes me happier than thinking about all of that. And I do see tons of proof of that in my own life and in my clients' life. So I'm actively, currently working on letting things arrive in my life that I didn't work for. That is a true goal of mine right now, because I understand that the belief I have created, which is things only count if I can see exactly how I earned it and exactly what I put in to get it, that I did the work in order to receive this, I can see how that belief is limiting what is possible to me, because I'm one human who has, a finite amount of effort that I can put into a day. Okay, so I will always de facto be limited if that is my belief. That belief is very good at keeping me in this mode of needing to spend every last bit of myself on earning something before I'm allowed to receive it. Okay, so I am doing that work genuinely, while simultaneously, right now, coming out of my mouth, I'm arguing that the work is the work. Okay. And here's the thing I don't think I've said out loud on this podcast yet. This is my new level of awareness. I feel a little bit like a fraud, but I'm coming clean now. So, whatever. When I started this experiment a year ago, almost last September, part of me hoped and believed and probably honestly thought that I can out energy anyone. If this is all about building something from energy, let's fucking go because I will crush that shit. That was my attitude. I thought, I know how the brain works. I know how energy works. And I'm going to put all of it to the test for one full year. And I'm going to blow myself away with what happens. And there was this piece of me that thought the results would be undeniable by now. So where's my 7 figures? Right? I feel like a fool even saying that out loud a little bit. It's like, how naive, but it's the truth. It's so much of the messaging we hear right now that there is some way we can just shift our thinking, shift our receptivity mode, and life hands us this giant ass check. Okay. And there's still a part of me 10 months in here trying to figure out what it is that I'm still not doing right. What am I doing to cock block my own success here? What is that missing piece? What do I still have to unlock in order to finally receive what people love to call your quote unquote birthright, right? Wealth and abundance is your birthright. I'm sure you've seen that messaging too. And the truth is, truth here. I am almost making myself so sick of it that I care less and less about it, which I don't know if that's growth or if it's me just getting tired or if I'm putting up my protective walls and saying, I don't care if I don't get my goal anymore. It could be a little tantrum for all I know. Or I'm just wearing myself out, which is probably my more likely pattern. I wear myself out to the point that I just give up and surrender to the whole thing. But then there's this other voice in me that says, no, this is the test. What you're in right now is the frickin' test, Laura. This is the part where you're supposed to believe harder. You're supposed to believe even more. You're supposed to tell yourself, all of this is an illusion and it's literally right there and you just have to claim it. And that almost feels like I'm fooling myself. Maybe that is the work because that feels like such a naive, foolish thing to think. Okay. But I got to document this because it felt like a real revelation. I don't know if that's true or if it's just another narrative or if my ego's getting in the game now. I don't know because I'm in the thick of it. All I know how to do is open my mouth, put it in front of this microphone and speak it out there, document it and capture it. I'm supposed to land this episode somewhere. I'm supposed to tell you that I believe it all still works out for me. And I could say that, and I want to say that, but I think I'd be doing the exact thing I just spent this entire episode calling out in another person. So the honest answer is right now, I feel probably even more confused about how all of this is supposed to work. I don't know. I feel like I scrambled my own brain on this shit. Okay. I feel more confused than I was when I started. Not less. That's where I am this week. Go bet on yourself. And I don't mean sit back and open your arms and receive. I mean, go place that bet and go all in on yourself. That's what I have to do right now in this moment, even though I don't even know what that looks like.